The protest is running a little bit long. Someone, I'm not going to name any names, just gave a 30 to 40 minute speech. Let's hope our next two speakers, it's not as long, because a lot of people have left and all of that. I'm going to quickly, and first of all, I'm going to bring on Brian, and then we're going to bring on Jack. Brian, do you want to come give your speech? So everyone give a round of applause. So literally, it's Brian, Jack, we're done, we can go home, we can sleep. Woo!
Okay, thank you, James. Okay, first of all, thank you for everyone for coming. Yeah, it's been a long afternoon. We've had drama all day. Thank you, Damon. Literally, all the things that Damon has been talking about there's a group of us who've been standing on roundabouts with yellow boards since May 2021. Thank you. We've literally, my name's Brian. I have to describe myself as an activist now, which I never thought I would. I'm actually a squash coach. I teach little kids how to do forehands and that kind of stuff. So I'm not a public speaker, but I think a lot of us have developed a bit of a voice over the last few years, over the last 4 years, because we feel we've been backed into a corner. We feel now that we have to do something and we have to stand up, because what's coming down the line is too horrendous for any of us to contemplate. What Damon's alluded to there is this has come down from the top down, and it's a pandemic. It actually goes back even further than that. As an academic, James Lindsay said, this is the tip of a 100-year spear. This has been long in the making, and we're actually confronting the final phases of this now. So moving on from what he was saying about the WHO and the preparedness, the pandemic preparedness treaty, which I believe is going to be signed in May, so we don't have long. This is another arm of an even bigger operation, which comes down from the UN, no less. The UN have, not many people, obviously everyone here has heard of this, but for those that don't know, the UN have got a set of goals. It was known, first of all, it was known as Agenda 21, which was an agenda for the 21st century. And that was divided up into a smaller subset of goals. So we had, the current operation is Agenda 2030. And they are the goals that they want to achieve by the year 2030, naturally enough. There are 17 of these goals. And you can go onto the UN's website and you can check it out for yourself, and I encourage you to do so. Because when you see, it looks on the surface, it looks great. You know, the idea of having a sustainable and inclusive future, doesn't that sound good? It sounds nice. Of course, we all want to be able to sustain ourselves. We want to include people. We want to have diverse opinions, all good stuff. But when you start to look at the small print and those 17 goals, and if you start to see that they're broken down into 169 smaller targets, and you start to look at what those targets entail, and you look at the devices that they are using to bring this into force, you start to see a dystopian future appear on the horizon. The methods that they are using to bring it about, they are very varied. There's a lot going on. The Antifa side of it, which obviously we've had a little visit from them today, why don't they want to listen? Why aren't they wanting to listen to what we've got to say? This, after all, was a free speech rally. So if this is a free speech rally, why don't they want to put somebody forward as a speaker and put across their point of view? And we can actually battle out on university grounds, which is where the idea of free speech kind of came from. When I was here last May, to the first one of these, I talked about the roots of free speech and the roots of university and Socrates, and they didn't like what he had to say, so they put him on trial and they executed him. And they executed him because they didn't like what he said. They wanted to cancel him, and we're starting to see this idea of cancel culture appearing in our midst again. We need to defend the right for free speech, because at the very basis of our future is the freedom to speak. If we can't speak, we can be blocked. Then someone else has got power over you. They've got power to determine their agenda and their course of action. Agenda 2030 is just such an agenda. They have decided, not us, we haven't elected these people and then sat down and decided. This is not a representation of people's views. This has just been decided by an unelected body, and they have decided what these 17 goals are going to be. One of those goals, I believe it's goal number 13, which has an asterisk, a special asterisk next to it, is the climate and climate justice. So we've all heard of global warming, or climate change, as they had to change the name to. Does anyone know, does the climate stay static, or does the climate always change? Has the climate always changed? It has done. And they used to call it global warming, but it fell out of favour. So we've all heard of the greenhouse effect, and the idea that CO2 traps the heat of the earth, and we're going to get this runaway global warming effect, and we're going to end up like Venus, and all life is threatened on Earth. And do you know what it's based on? Have you seen this? It's absolutely based on bunkum. There are scientists out there that showed it. The IPCC was set up to prove global warming, and there were several other competing theories at the time. And that is one of the goals of the 17 goals. They want to take control of land, air and sea. That is all production. That's all production of farms. You're seeing all the farmers' protests across Europe right now, because one of the goals is they want control of the farming. If they can control the food and control what you eat, if you're hungry, you will not listen to, if you're hungry, you're not going to go out and protest, are you? You're going to be looking at, you want to eat, and that becomes your priority. So if they can control your food, they can control the direction you're going in, and they can control everything. So hence we're starting to see the farmers' protests across Europe. If you look in Germany, in France, they've taken it to a different level. Over here we're a little bit slow to get going, because of course we're not in Europe. But the farmers have been put under pressure. Literally over the last 10 years, our farmers have been put under pressure. They've been given ideas of how they can use their land for anything but farming. So turn it into a solar farm. Have kids from local schools come on and do days out and have a look at what we're doing on our farm as ways of making money. They're loaded under mountains and mountains of paperwork. They're trying to encourage people to stop farming. They're pushing them off the farms. If we lose control of our farming, we lose control of food. If we lose control of food, that's it. It's all she wrote. We're in real trouble. And they're attacking us not just on that front, this is on all fronts. So we have to stand up now. We have to use the little bit of free speech that we've got. Many of the things that have been said today, it's going to be censored on the internet. You're not going to be able to see it on various platforms. People like Sydney has seen this. We've been shouting from the roofs for the last 4 years about this. And we've actually had the time to sit down and research what is coming down the line. And we know it's bad, which is why we stood up speaking about it now. So I encourage, if you're watching this at home and you're coming across this for the first time, it's time to start looking into it. Stop being spoon-fed your information. I'm just looking at the UK fires document there. So this is, again, this UK's fire document is a plan by a think tank of how they're going to bring about all this. So does anyone fancy the idea of not being able to get on a plane after the year 2025? So they're looking to cut domestic air travel by the year 2025. So literally they're going to restrict the amount of meat that you can eat. I can't remember the actual number off the top of my head, but so many kilos per year. So someone might actually have the number there somewhere. You'll only be allowed to leave your 15-minute zone so many times per year, and literally you'll be tracked and traced and surveyed every single step of the way. And if you step out of line, if you don't do what they want, if they've got control of your currency with central bank digital currency, which is programmable, they will be able to switch off your bank account. The idea, the model is going to be based on the Chinese model, the Chinese social credit model. And this model basically means that if you behave the way they want you to behave, you get social credit points. If you behave in a way that is in any way dissenting from their model, you will lose social credit points. Lose enough social credit points, you won't be allowed you won't be allowed on a train, you won't be allowed on a bus, because you don't reach the score. The score isn't high enough. And so on. So the minute you start speaking out against the injustice of it all, you will have your social media presence curtailed. They will stop you speaking out. And this is the future that we're heading for, and it's all part of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. I call for ending the United Nations. We need to end this. We need to end the World Health Organization. We need to come and start building a parallel society with our own institutions, built from the... Thank you very much.
It's brilliant.
4 legs good, 2 legs bad. 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. There you go. So yeah, so we all have to take responsibility now. The first thing you have to take responsibility for is the information that you take in. Stop being spoon-fed by the mainstream media. They are following an agenda, and you are not, they're not there to help you. They are there to help the agenda, and which is to be complete and total control of all of our lives. I'm going to wrap it up there, but thank you very much everyone for coming, and we'll see you all soon. Okay.
Right, last speech then. I want to thank Brian Lomas for that brilliant speech. Last speech is going to be under 5 minutes. Do not